In this video, I'll show you how our stress affects our weight and body fat. Last time we talked about how your body reacts to stress or to any life-depleting emotion. Now let's talk about the health consequences of those physiological reactions. One reason as to why stress is associated with health problems is your body suffers when it's ready to fight or flee, and you don't. In other words, you don't use those byproducts of stress, increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, etc., to physically fight or flee because your stressors don't require increased power, speed, and strength. So all those physical changes are not used up. What's the big deal? What's wrong with being more powerful, stronger, and faster? Well, having a more powerful, stronger, and faster body is great if you need to exhibit power, speed, and strength. It's not so good on your body if you don't need increased power, speed, and strength. Another reason why stress is unhealthy for us is because some people engage in unhealthy behaviors during stressful times. Studies show that many people who smoke tend to smoke more when they're stressed. The same goes for use of other substances such as marijuana. How unhealthy is it to have a body that's constantly going through the stress response? It's estimated that between 75 and 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related problems. And it's estimated that up to 90% of all disease and illness is related to stress, meaning that stress exacerbates or precipitates the health condition, but it may not be the sole cause. So we have a physical reaction to our thoughts and emotions, and a behavioral reaction, not always, and then a health consequence. One of the consequences of prolonged unmanaged stress is an accumulation and redistribution of body fat. If stress burned calories, I'd be a supermodel. Let's talk about obesity and stress. Can stress make you fat? Yes, stress can definitely contribute to our body composition, but usually there are multiple components that play a role, as with any health problem. But here's how stress is associated with obesity. Cortisol, which is secreted when you're stressed, can cause accumulation of fat in the abdominal area, and it can cause the enlargement of individual fat cells. The problem is excess fat, especially belly fat, causes the secretion of cortisol. So stress causes excess cortisol, which then causes excess fat, which then causes excess cortisol, and the cycle continues. Another comment about cortisol: when your stress and cortisol levels are high, the body actually resists weight loss. So your body thinks times are hard and you might starve, so it hoards the fat you eat. Also, excess cortisol can also cause a redistribution of fat. Literally, fat is taken from healthier areas like your buttocks, hips, legs, and arms and moves it to your abdomen, which has more cortisol receptors. This increases inflammation and insulin resistance, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes. Another way that stress is associated with the excess fat is stress causes us to eat differently than we normally would eat. There's actually a biological connection between stress and changes in our eating patterns. Studies show that people eat a larger quantity of food, and they eat unhealthier foods when they're stressed compared to when they're not. This is often referred to as stress eating or emotional eating. Researchers followed a group of women for 15 years. They found that the women who reported feeling frequently and intensely angry, tense, or stressed, all very strong life-depleting emotions, showed an increased risk of developing metabolic syndrome, the condition associated with insulin resistance that can lead to weight gain and diabetes. Just a side note, in one study, 5 and 6-year-old children who reported a higher number of stressors had significantly higher chances of being obese than those children who reported a lower number. Now that we've talked about health consequences of unmanaged stress, let's talk about cognitive consequences in my next video.